Are you a film fan who loves the ultimate home video experience? Look no further than The Disconnected. Your host, Ryan Verrill, is your go-to source for the latest and most accurate information on home video releases, exclusive interviews with industry insiders and filmmakers, and has established a thriving community where every film and physical media enthusiast feels welcome. From hidden gems to blockbuster hits, The Disconnected brings you insider knowledge and a welcoming space to share your love of cinema. Watch every Thursday night at 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific for the live announcements show, and follow The Disconnected on social media to stay updated. Subscribe to The Disconnected on YouTube or on the podcast provider of your choice and dive into a world where every movie night is an adventure.
If you're looking for more horror outside of the mainstream, look no further than Unsung Horrors, a podcast about underseen horror movies. I'm Lance.
And I'm Erica. Every other week, we'll cover a horror movie with fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. We'll even give you double feature recommendations to pair with the movies we discuss.
From gothic to shot on video, from slashers to comedies, from giallo to J-horror, we'll cover all the subgenres. So join us as we unearth these hidden gems of horror.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors, available wherever you listen to podcasts. And part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hello, this is Aaron West. I am the author of the A24 New Wave. In this book, I look at A24's output and I make the argument that we are in a new wave movement right now. A24 plays a major role. This book has a supplemental podcast where each episode is a brief conversation about an A24 related topic, whether an actor, director, or even a genre. As I continue research for the book and conduct interviews, I expect to record podcast episodes with people involved with the company. You can find the podcast at cinejourneys.com or wherever you find podcasts, and we are proud to be members of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Welcome to the Life and Times of Captain Barney Miller podcast. I'm your host, Mike White. Joining me, of course, is the rookie, Chris Dashew.
I'm here for the open house once again. Do you guys have anything to eat?
We are talking about 3 episodes from Barney Miller back in 1980. We're at the start of a new decade. Started it last month when we talked about People's Court, which came out January 3rd, 1980. But here we are, January 10th, 1980 for Vanished Part 1. Vanished Part 2 would come out a week later, and The Child Stealers comes out a week after that, January 24th, 1980. That's kind of nice when TV shows didn't take that midwinter break and just tell you to screw off from December to February. If it's even that short these days, I don't even know how long the midwinter break is, but sometimes it feels interminable.
Been on a break for a while now for other reasons. So now we'll get the strike break and then the midwinter break later this year. Isn't that nice?
Well, people keep saying, oh, strike's over, strike's over. It's like, yeah, but the actors are still striking, right? I saw Zooey Deschanel on the picking line, who is probably not the person I want to represent me if I was an actor, but that's a whole other podcast.
Wow. Goddamn, some hot heat directed at one of the 2 Deschanel sisters.
Shots fired. Yes.
Oh, my God.
Vanished Part 1. Well, we might as well talk 1 and 2 really together. Kind of like when we come back next month, we'll be talking about Dietrich's Arrest Part 1 and 2. And we'll also talk about Guns and Uniform Days. So 4 episodes, but this one we're just doing 3. Vanished 1 and 2, as Chris has referred to our good friend, is it Sam, the vagrant, I believe?
Ray Brewer, played by John Dulligan, who has such a great, he didn't even have to reintroduce himself. I remembered him from that was that episode last season, Open House, right? I guess that was the name. The name of the episode was Open House. Yeah, I remembered him the moment he walked in. I was like, okay. Yeah, you again.
Yeah, he is so great. He is awesome.
Yeah, and he has this weird energy about him too, because again, like he seems a lot more comfortable in the precinct than anybody else ever does. Like he walks in and he's just like, I'm back here again. Hey, everybody, remember me? It's like, even, I'm trying to think who, not Roy Brock, but there's another actor who he plays the shop owner. Even he doesn't act that kind of chummy with the guys in the precinct. And I think we've seen him more, but it's funny. Like they're not like trying to get rid of him. They're not trying to throw him out. They more or less, like, other than him and Harris kind of, or I guess him and Wojo kind of at odds with each other, like they believe him outright. Like they're not like questioning his story, which I appreciated that about this episode, that this episode is more interested in like not them questioning him, but trying to figure out what's going on.
I think that was Stanley Brock.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And he's terrific. I love the way he comes in, just kind of grabs a chair, sits down. He's maintaining Harris's desk in the second part of this episode, but yeah, he's terrific. And he tells a story about how when he and all of his homeless friends, when they go to sleep at night, they wake up and people are missing. And of course we get the, no, we don't get the, did you check the basement for pods line here, but there's a lot of, they're like, what could be going on here? And then, of all people, they send out Harris to, of all people, Chris.
I know.
Of all people, the most stylishly dressed of all of them has to rip off all of his amazing outfits and become a homeless person.
Yeah.
Undercover.
Well, what I find really funny is obviously that's the gag, right? It's like, let's take the most well-dressed, well-manicured, one might even go as far as to say erudite person in the precinct and make him have to go and be, on the streets investigating, undercover. I do find it funny that they just keep, like, he just keeps clowning on Barney's outfit and then Barney clowns on his, like, they're clowning on each other this entire episode with their outfits. I'm assuming that the gag, and I mean, it's implied, but the gag is that they all look terribly dressed, but like, that's not the case. Like, I don't like the stuff that they're wearing doesn't look remotely like they would be homeless or like,
no.
Vagrants, as maybe this episode more aptly put it. I just think it's funny. It's like, oh, look at how shitty you're dressed. Like, you're just shitty at all. It looks fine. Yeah,
I mean, I guess to make a vagrant, you use like some, you crumple your hat.
Yes.
And you have some fingerless gloves.
Yeah, and or in John Dulligan's case, a jacket that fits too big, like too big. Because that's the thing, like it's never, when a homeless person in media is portrayed, they never have something too small. It's often a jacket that's too big, or the crumpled hat. It's just the crumpled hat. Really, just I was hoping he might have a bindle sack, but he's not a rail riding homeless person. No, yeah, I guess he's a vagrant. Yeah, it's probably the best term. I think it's interesting though, because again, obviously, 1980s New York coming out of kind of the thing with Ford, New York can go to hell, right? All of that. Like, it's interesting that, because in this season, they haven't really had a lot of, I don't know what you would call them, but I guess it's like social messages of like, I don't know. Because I don't know if this episode's trying to have a message with what they're doing with the vagrants or, the John Dulligan character, but it's weird because they care a lot. And it doesn't seem like they just care because at least right. Barney does. And I've always appreciated that about this show and about Barney Miller as a character, is that he is a genuinely empathetic character. And that comes through. But what's interesting is I would go as far as to say Harris is strangely just as empathetic in the second part of this episode. Maybe not so much the first part, but that's because, again, he's not out in the field yet. But right. It's weird because normally Harris is just very not interested in participating in anything that would put him at odds with his image. But he just seems like, okay, like I'm on board and on the same page as what's going on.
Yeah. I'm going to get this episode and the next one mixed up a little bit because there's at one point they ask Ray, how did you become homeless? And you expect it to be this real heartrending story.
Right.
And instead it's, I was this. And then one day I woke up and I was a vagrant. It's like, what?
Yeah.
So you don't get any story at all. He plays it so well, though. I mean, yeah, Dulligan just can milk a scene in a great way.
Yeah, he's a really believable, like, sap. He's a really sappy character. And, like, again, like, just the way he carries himself, his outfit. Again, he doesn't have the fingerless gloves, but he might as well. I mean, he looks the part. And to your point, yeah, it's interesting when he goes off and kind of Harris goes off with him. I feel like the episode kind of suffers when they're not around because I mean, thankfully we do get to see what I would consider to be at this point, like, okay, so Luger's part of the show. Like,
so much. Yeah.
So like it kind of is or more or less redeemed immediately because Luger shows up and they kind of hand off the episode to him. But holy shit. Yeah. Like John Dulligan is so good in this episode that it's a shame when he's not on screen. But yeah, then you transition to the B plot of the biggest Luger storyline I think we've had up until this point in the show. Actually, like a storyline for his character and a story moment that I think may have some repercussions down the road, at least for the way he acts towards the people in the 12th precinct.
Yeah. It's really remarkable that because he comes in and he usually has stuff going on, but I would say he's usually more C level than he's definitely more B level in this one, if not almost A. But I think the homeless story is your A story.
I think because it's a 2-part episode, I think you could almost make the case that it's 2 A storylines because the B plot or C plot is so not anything. I'm not saying it's not funny or not amusing. It's just there's so little to it that it's just this woman in the precinct just kind of ping-ponging between Dietrich and Wojciechowicz, and that's about it.
Do I have to say, Elaine Giftos, what a Giftos to humanity she was. Oh my gosh. She's still around, but she was just amazing. And I remember seeing her in so many things when I was younger, and she just always was so striking. She was almost as striking as, I can't remember the actress's name, the one from Soap that occasionally shows up as a prostitute on the show. But I was surprised when Giftos came in. I was like, oh, well, here's another prostitute. But no, she trying to find a proper father for her baby. And I was very surprised at the end of her storyline when she's looking up, well, actually more than looking up, that it seems like her and Levitt have hooked up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think that his DNA was proper since he's so short.
Well, what's funny is, you have Dietrich making moves and Wojciechowicz making moves, and their game between the two of them, those two guys have no game whatsoever. I mean, what's funny is it almost feels like because of Wojo's girl, I can never see that character as like a sexual being anymore because he seems so out of sorts as a person when he's not in the precinct, where it's like, I can't believe you would go on a date with someone because I've seen it now and you are completely unable to even like hold a conversation with someone. And so like during this, I was like, first off, there's no way that Dietrich is not an alien, which again, I think has been more or less established that he is not of, and enough. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it real soon. But my point is like, I can't even believe, like, it's more believable that it's Levitt because to me at this point, Levitt is the only human character on this show other than Barney. Everybody else is just this, like, they're so specifically a thing that like they are a bundle of so many things that like Barney feels like a human and Levitt now feels more like a human than ever. But Wojo can't see him as a sexual being anymore. And Dietrich just, again, like now they're going in such a weird angle with his character that he's losing his humanness because that's seemingly what they want to do.
Right. I want to talk about the very beginning of the episode because it's very strange. This episode almost starts in media res. Like it starts off with this over the shoulder, shot of Wojciechowicz as he's eating a sandwich. And you've got Dietrich and Harris in the background as far back as, the precinct. It's pretty small. Harris, it looks like he's eating a yogurt or something.
A pudding cup, a snack bag.
Yeah. And Dietrich is standing there and he kind of turns from Harris like he had been talking with Harris. and he just turns from him and then walks over to Wojo's desk. And I'm like, was there a whole conversation that we missed here? Did something happen? And so I even went out to dailymotion.com and was watching the episode that way, because I was like, well, we've seen this before where this happens. And the one that's on Dailymotion starts later on. It starts with Ray opening the door and coming in, and Harris is still eating that yogurt or pudding or whatever. So it's like, okay, well, the beginning is cut off on certain episodes, but it feels cut off even on the longest version that I was able to find. It was so strange.
Yeah, it is a weird opening. I do like the whole idea of Dietrich baiting Wojo into giving him half of his.
Right.
Such a fucking dickhead. But I mean, like, again, I don't know, like there's like one conversation that needs to happen before they get to that.
Well, yeah, it's the conversation that he has with Harris.
Right.
I imagine that he had it and was trying to get some of Harris's lunch. And when that doesn't work, he goes over to Wojo, but we're missing that completely.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if it didn't play well, if the joke wasn't that good. I don't know, maybe I could see it Dietrich talking about like how they make yogurt and like, oh, yogurt is, mold and, right. Right. Cause like, I mean, again, it is like yogurt is a cultured milk product. So it's mold and, it's, don't you know what that is? And it's the same stuff that's on top of your cheese. Like I could see that, but it's not there. Yeah. I don't know. There have been some weird things in this show. I am trying to remember back a couple episodes ago, there were a couple weird shots that we were commenting on, where it was like close-up shots of people that were very atypical for a show of this type, or at least this show specifically.
Yeah. And it's so strange because by the time, so the one on Dailymotion is from TV Land, which is probably, we should probably say that Barney is no longer on Amazon Prime, but I imagine it was that same version. Because, we talked about that. Gosh, probably, I think in the 6th season, another episode where it got cut off at the beginning, and it's like, okay, just editing for time so you can stick in more commercials. Just bizarre.
I've got to assume that's what it was.
Yeah. And I love the interplay of Dietrich and Barney when Barney's trying to do a crossword puzzle, because it's just like, who you go to if you're having problems with a crossword puzzle. You go right to Dietrich, and then Dietrich just humiliating him.
Why don't you? He's like, why don't you ever come and talk to me just normal? Like, just have a normal conversation. Right. Or no, he says, so we have noticed we never have any personal conversations, is what he said.
Right. Yeah. And that the answer to the crossword was Miller. And then how he like looks over his shoulder. He's like, oh, do you want me to, it's blank. What was it? Blank, Google. So Barney Google. That's the other one.
I thought that was pretty good. I thought that was a nice little touch. I mean, it is funny though, if you think about it, the Dietrich character has a point. Him and Barney have very impersonal interactions, more so than he does with anybody else. I mean, Barney is almost like a father figure to Wojo. I think not almost. I mean, I think he more or less is a surrogate father figure. And then I don't know how Harris views Barney, but I mean, Levitt clearly views him as the boss, but I don't know. I think Dietrich views him as like an equal, like an intellectual equal, maybe. Like I can never get the sense of how Dietrich views Barney because, again, Dietrich is such a intentionally strange character, but he does seem somewhat hurt that Barney doesn't want to know him.
Right. But he makes it so awkward.
Oh, I think that's the joke. That's the point, right?
I have coworkers like Dietrich, and you just don't want to get caught in a personal conversation with them.
We never have personal conversations. That's intentional.
Yeah, exactly.
Then I want to hear about your collection of lichen.
Right. I don't want to hear what goes on at the Goethe Festival.
Yeah, exactly. But, well, actually, I bet the way Harris views Barney is he probably views Barney as the guy who shouldn't be in charge, and Harris should be in charge.
Mm-hmm.
That came through. Was that? Oh no, man. I think I watched ahead. Have Barney and Harris yelled at each other yet? Okay. I've watched ahead then.
I mean, other than the one where it was Barney not getting Harris's back with the racism stuff.
But that's, I think, the way Harris would view Barney. But it's interesting because, again, like, I think Dietrich has a point as much as he can have a point.
Yeah, no, I think if this was a few years later, then I think still in 1980, I mean, because we have never seen anybody at like Barney's level or above that is an African American.
Right.
And then even when we think about the female cops that come in, I think they're all white females that come in.
Or Hispanic.
Or Hispanic, right. Or white people pretending to be Hispanic.
Or Italian
seen
people
her for a
pretending
while.
to be Hispanic.
Right. Yeah, the whole thing with Luger is kind of upsetting.
It's ageist, right? I mean, it's the
yeah.
it's the ageist thing. Like, oh, if you're not going to retire, we'll just demote you. Like,
right.
It's a weird storyline because if this had happened in the first season, I would have been like, who gives a shit?
Right.
But now it's like, okay, it's Luger, season 6 Luger, a very different version of himself, a much more palatable version of himself. You feel bad because like he's just like, he's more or less been because he wanted to continue to work, probably because he has nothing left to live for, which is more or less what this episode says. It's fucking horrifying. And then in the next episode, which is, again, this is a 2-parter, in the next episode, nobody wants to work with him. And it's like, okay, so not only is this guy seemingly suicidal, but everybody in the precinct is like, fuck this asshole. Which, I mean, we all know somebody like Luger who is who they are, and that sometimes can be prickly and a problem. But, I mean, he's not that bad.
No.
He's just kind of a ding-dong more than anything else.
I mean, he'll tell you all the stories about Brownie and all those guys, but, you know, I mean, I'm sure his stories get pretty old after a while, but yeah, he seems like a sincere person. I mean, it was probably a little awkward, at Barney's Thanksgiving a few years ago when he invited him. I think he invites him multiple years, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, I like that Luger makes a pass at Eileen Giftos, and she just looks at him and goes, "No thanks." Oh man, I think of the 2-parters that we've seen, this is a pretty good 2-parter. At least the first part is.
It doesn't feel like this only needed to be 1.5 episodes. Like we don't have enough story to maintain an hour. This has enough story to keep us going.
Yeah. Well, and again, you mentioned we have some pretty good interactions between Luger and Barney talking about Brownie and Kleiner, and they tried to do the same thing to Kleiner, and 2 weeks later he was shot.
Right.
So, again, what's funny is like it's just they're giving Luger a lot more characterization as an empathetic character than they ever have, and it works. Mm-hmm. Like I think he's a believably empathetic character, and the way that he interacts with Harris at the end, I think, is also really funny. I don't know. Because him and Harris always feel like they've never been able to get on the same page, obviously. And I don't know. I think we're moving closer in that direction. And I hope Luger is more a part of the show. I mean, again, it kind of seems like it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it was the first few episodes in this season where it's like, where the hell's Luger? Why haven't we seen this guy?
Well, and I think they even acknowledge it at the beginning of the first part of. They're like, "Hey, it's been a while since we've seen this." Yeah, it has been a while. Was he filming Flight of the Dragons, you think? Was he doing the voiceover work for that Rankin and Bass thing that he was in?
You mean A Flight of Dragons?
Oh, A Flight of Dragons. Sorry. Yes, not to be confused with the sequel, Flight of Dragons.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I love when he's just like, I'll be in my office, Barn.
Not your office, bro.
I have to say sorry to just be a weirdo for a second, but these episodes, especially part 2 and the next one, I don't know what it is, but they look really good. The ones that we have just look really nice. And I'm like, what happened here? Why are these episodes so nice compared to some of the other ones where it's like they just look washed out and just, kind of crummy VHS rip type of stuff. And these, they look pretty solid.
Yeah, it's I don't know, maybe it's like it's the 80s-ness of it. Again, because now we're in, now it's 80.
Right.
It's still, I will say, I don't think the show has gotten into the 80s yet. I mean, it's only 80. So the 80s doesn't pick up until, what the 80s probably didn't pick up until 83, 84? In terms of kinds of things that you're expecting to see in the styles that exist as like the mid-80s, right?
Yeah, because the Reagan isn't even in office yet. We are in the election year coming up. So probably, I don't even know if he's really running, probably running a little bit. They probably have had the convention to nominate him. But yeah, it's still not proper 80s. I mean, the pump is primed for yuppies and all of the garbage that goes along with the 1980s.
Yeah. And that's the thing. The show is there, but it's there yet. And just like the Times itself. So there's a little bit of lag time, but I mean, the show still looks great. And hey, when Levitt shows up at the beginning of the second episode wearing that outfit, he looks pretty good for once. For once, the man cleans up well.
He's so put out after he's just like, oh, hey, you're going to need some manpower in the last episode. And then he shows up here in the suit and freaking Luger sitting at his desk. It's just like, okay, what's going on here, Barnes?
Yeah.
Not happy.
No. And it's, I like where they've gone with Levitt. And I like where they've gone with what his kind of expectations are. Again, I'm assuming he never becomes a major part of the precinct in terms of like actually being there, as opposed to just showing up from time to time when they need it. But I feel like at this point, I would be okay if he was there permanent.
Yeah, I would be too. Another really funny thing, and I was glad that I was able to guess this joke before they had it, which was when they finally figure out that Harris is missing. They're like, oh, we need to put out an APB and need to put out a photo. And it's like, what photo are we going to use? And I was just like, the author photo.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, he doesn't really like this photo that much. And then it's like, okay, we'll use this one then.
And I like where they end up going with the kind of the way the storyline is resolved. I guess it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as it can, I don't know, Shanghaiing a bunch of like homeless people and forcing them to go work. Like,
yeah, it seems, I mean, this is what happens when we don't have open borders in the U.S.
Okay.
Where we can just use migrant workers. Instead, we have to Shanghai homeless people and drive them down to, where is it? North Carolina?
North Carolina. Yeah. It's like far away.
Yeah. Yeah. And he calls from the Stuckies on the freeway, which was pretty good.
And then he's like, I got to go back next week too for all these like what did you get yourself involved in here?
Right. I think if the episode, if Vanished 1 and 2 has a weak spot, it is, and I hate to say this, it's Leonard Frey's character as Alfred Royce, the people's candidate, which is a great joke in there. But Alfred Royce, the guy that plays him, Leonard Frey, he is great, or Fry. I love him as an actor, though, and this reference is going to go right over your head. Maybe I kept expecting him to start talking about a sewing machine. No,
Fiddler
nothing.
on the Roof, right?
Yes. Oh, nice.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Very nice. Good one, Chris.
Yeah. I was gonna say that's a Fiddler reference.
Oh,
all you
yeah.
Fiddler fans out there.
The big Fiddler head convention that we have. Yeah.
Fiddler heads. That's what they call them. Fiddler.
Yeah. I mean, as an actor, he's fantastic, but he just kind of shows up, does a little bit, and then he leaves. I mean, he doesn't overstay his welcome, but he's still kind of the weakest part of the whole thing. He's
the weakest part of a relatively well done 2-part episode in a sitcom, which is I don't know how you feel about this, but sitcoms and 2-part episodes tend to like not be worth their time.
Oh, no. And this is a weird season because, like I said earlier, we've got another 2-parter coming up in our next episode.
Yeah. So it's weird to me. Like, I normally don't think very highly of 2-parters, but I think this is a very well done 2-parter. I mean, the stakes of what's going on are pretty low. It feels like normally 2-parters are left for like some sort of big, change in the show, like a seat change or like a scenery change or something. But nope, just cause. I actually not even sure why this is a 2-part story.
Yeah, I mean, really, they could have just said that's the end of the episode. I mean, you would be like, well, where's Harris when this starts? But they are starting to get into continuity a lot more in these later seasons.
And that is the crazy thing, because we really haven't seen a lot of continuity. I mean, continuity in terms of like characters showing back up. Yeah. And we'll talk about that. We talk about the next episode we're talking about. But the continuity that they've done has been more just like reminding us that Wentworth is still around by having her name on the board. Like, that's as much, or like, oh, there's Nick's desk. Nick has been dead, obviously. All right. I have a question, because it's never been really addressed. Is Nick Yamana dead?
I thought they said I thought they said why he's not on the show anymore, other than the episode where it was the remembrance of Jack Sue. I thought he got reassigned or something, but
I don't remember. So that's why I'm asking you and the listeners or Otto, who wrote the book. Please, they mentioned it and we just didn't catch it because Nick's desk is a kind of weird part of this episode because that's where Luger is. That's where Levitt wants to be. But yeah, I just was thinking about that. Like, is because again, Jack Sue passed away and they had the Jack Sue remembrance episode, but unless they did, it's kind of weird that they've never like outright addressed it.
Right. I mean, this season, it feels like they're treating it like he died, but in the last season when he was just missing, I don't think that they ever said that he passed away.
Right. Yeah, they're treating him like he's dead, I guess.
Yeah, because of the reverence. Yeah, the whole reverence of the desk. And and then that was also, there was a little bit of reverence, but then there was also Captain Miller, I thought you wanted me up here and now I don't have a place to sit. So it became kind of a thing for Levitt, which showed his character.
Right. No, actually, I think this is probably the best Levitt has been so far in the show up until this point. And it's a testament to Ron Carey. I think, again, the acting of Ron Carey was not being served by the plot and the storylines and the dialogue they were giving him. He's a great actor. I mean, he's in History of the World Part 1. He's in one of the better segments in that. But yeah, I feel like the show and the showrunners were using him as kind of an afterthought, as a lot of butt of the jokes, frankly.
Right.
And I'm glad that that's not the case anymore. I mean, he's kind of the butt of the joke in this episode, but he, like you said, he kind of gets to show his, show what he's made of, as it were. And I think that's a much more important lesson to learn as a character and a thing to see as an audience than him just getting what he wants just cause.
Exactly. Yeah. I love when Harris comes back. He's got all those homeless guys with him, and he just has to like doing the hand signals, like, no, you stay over there. Like the whole thing that he's doing. Just, him as kind of the king of the hobos in this is pretty great.
And then the people's candidate becoming the secondary king of the hobos.
Right.
They'll listen to him.
They're not registered to vote.
Right. Not registered. I like where the episode concludes. And I like that, Luger goes back. Of course he does. He was never going to be in the precinct full time. Like that would be nice. That'd be a nice, interesting change. But James Gregory, I don't think signed up.
No.
I think he signed up for that. But he's welcome in this episode in the way that he is used. And I love that kind of the look at the end of the episode. They just kind of gives the door and then he just, goes back to reading the newspaper. Like, I don't know. It's a different look for Luger and I like where they go with this. I think he's probably the best part of these two episodes for me in general.
Yeah. Something else that kind of tells you where this episode is in history is that paper that he's reading. I want to say it says something like growing danger for hostages. Mm-hmm. I think it's the whole Iran hostage situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Right at the beginning of Carter's president.
Yep. And this was after the October surprise where they tried to rescue the hostages, which was an unmitigated disaster. And this is probably before Ben Affleck saves them all.
Oh, right. Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah.
That really happened.
Ben Affleck was there.
Yeah, I saw
them all out.
That's what they said.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think the only other two-part episode that really sticks with me, apart from this one would probably stick with me, was the one where they had to all sleep in the precinct because of the chance of, what was it, smallpox or some other communicable disease. And I think that just struck us so much because of the time that we watched it, because it was like, oh, wow, you guys are talking about diseases. Okay. And here we are stuck inside.
And nice transition, because in that two-part episode, Mr. Driscoll was there. And now in the Child Stealers, he's here again. And boy, this is without a doubt the gayest episode of Barney Miller. On a very special episode of Barney Miller.
Well, and it really does bring up some good points. Again, this whole way that they treat these gay characters, and they're not, of course, Marty is very stereotyped and everything, but he's got good things to say. And then, with Driscoll and his son, and that his wife is keeping him from seeing his son. And I do like some of those wry jokes of him saying that he's probably never going to have another son again. So,
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
like, yeah, it was a good one. That was a good one. And then, I mean, that whole story is great. And then, of course, we've got the whole thing with the telly and just that whole will he, won't he kind of thing. I thought that was pretty good. But, I mean, you put Richard Libertini in an episode, and I'm just going to be focused on Richard Libertini. I'm sorry, but he's fantastic. And it's so funny because I was like, didn't he play this character already? Because he's been on the show before, but am I mixing him up with, was there another time traveler, or was it just that Libertini, that whole thing where he was trying to change his name? But
no, I know what you're confusing it with.
What? Tell me, please.
You're confusing it with that Twilight Zone 85 episode where he's with, where he's where he's like an alien, remember? And he goes and he's like,
oh, with Shelley
Duvall? Yeah, I think that's what you're confusing it with. Yeah, that's gotta be, because that's what I thought of. Because I was like, this is close in terms of like, oh, he has some special knowledge that only he has, and he's trying to like impart it to other people. Like,
okay, yeah, because he was Mr. 1223 back in season 4. He was Richard Perito in the Middle Age episode in season 5, and then unfortunately this is his last time here, but he makes such an impression. I just love that guy so much.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. As someone who is a huge fan of Fletch, I'm a huge fan of Richard Libertini. His IMDb photo is his role as Frank cleaning Fletch's shoes on the plantation in Fletch Lives. So, I mean, I know you're a huge fan of the Popeye movie.
I am, actually, yes.
Yeah, I wasn't being ironic. I know that you are.
Now, you recently watched All of Me, correct?
Right, and he's in that as well.
Nice.
Get in the bowl.
Back and bowl.
Yeah. And a little, but you know, it's fine.
It's so good.
It's fine.
And I want to see he's in the In-Laws as well. So we'll be talking about him on the Columbo show when we get to that.
I was about to say, like, if he doesn't show up in Columbo, I'm going to be really disappointed.
He doesn't show up in Columbo, unfortunately, but yeah, I'm pretty darn sure he's in it's General Garcia in the In-Laws. So
that's a shame.
Yeah, we'll definitely be talking about him there.
He's great here. And yeah, we again come back to yet another instance where one Arthur Dietrich is apparently the episode wisely doesn't tell us what is going on, which is the smartest. It's the smartest thing, because you can't tell if this is for real or not. Is this guy just completely nuts? But the fact that he knows who Dietrich is and that Dietrich is someone important is a really funny gag, but I'm taking it literally.
I think you're okay to take it literally. You know, it's that whole thing that we were talking about. What was it? A nut with proof, right?
Paranoids with proof. Yeah.
It's like he doesn't have the proof necessarily, but he sure talks a good game. And I love his whole, like, you know, observing all of the things. I'm also thinking of the character that Matt Frewer played in Star Trek: The Next Generation, where he was an actual time traveler. And so he would say things like, oh, you're William Riker. Oh, wow. And we just like have these big reactions. But then you find out later on that he's actually from the past and not from the future. And he's there to basically steal all this stuff from the future and take it to the past with him. But just that whole, you know, you're Arthur Dietrich? Hey, Dietrich. Just the way that he overreacts to that. I absolutely love that.
So my question to you then is, given all the information that we have, what is going on? If we're to go a little for, like, let us just sit here for a moment and play along, right? What is going on with Dietrich then as a character? Is he a time traveling alien?
I don't know. I don't know about the time traveling part, but the alien part, I'm starting to buy into your theory. Have you asked Jonathan Frakes about it?
Right. Yeah. I don't know if he has an answer.
Your buddy Jonathan?
Yeah, my friend John. Mr. Frakes, as they call him.
Oh, yeah.
As they call him, I call him John. They call him Mr. Frakes.
Yeah.
I think the only interpretation is that Arthur Dietrich is either immortal or he's an alien. and being an alien gives him an inordinately long life. And he is just on Earth like my favorite Martian, just to hang out. And look, you know what? Wouldn't it be funny? Wouldn't it be cheeky if a cop show set in the 70s and 80s just happened to have one of the characters be an alien? Like, to what end is my question? And why is this joke being reused so much? And why do they keep going back to this joke? Because this was what? Was it the lie detector? The lie detector episode where they did that as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they were like, I forget what he asks him. And he's like, he's not lying. Like, wait a second. He's not supposed to be able to answer these truthfully. But I guess he's an alien. Like, that's, again, like, I'm sure there are plenty of people that are fans of Barney Miller that will listen to this and think that I'm fucking nuts. But watch the show that you love so much and actually give it a moment to tell you what it wants you to think. And I don't know what else it would want us to think if not Arthur Dietrich is not just a human being.
Right. Yeah. It is the era of Mork and Mindy. So, we did have aliens as main characters on TV.
Right. And he was represented by having, two little things coming out of the back of his head? Or no, does Mork even have antenna? I'm thinking of My Favorite Martian, aren't I?
Yeah, I'm trying to think if he has anything when he's speaking to Orson. And I don't think so. I think he's just, he can't remember if there's something when he does, like the whole nano thing. No, it's been way too long. And I remember liking that show, but I was also like 8 years old when I watched it. Yeah.
Wasn't he spun off from Happy Days?
He was, yeah. He showed up on Happy Days.
So why would it be hard to believe that they would have an alien in this show?
Yeah, no, it wouldn't be hard at all.
Right? Like, I don't know, like maybe again, because it's a cop show, like, they would never do that. But I'm kind of glad that I've always been really happy with the subject matter that the show tackles and the scenarios, the situations, as it were, that they put their characters into, because it's not just the usual bullshit. It tends to be rather creative.
Other thing I like about the whole time travel thing is him getting Harris so involved in zinc. And of course, I just kept thinking of that educational cartoon that they showed on The Simpsons, all about a world without zinc.
Right.
Oh my God. He pulls out the gun and he goes to kill himself and is like, oh, Jimmy, that firing pin is made out of zinc.
Is that Kentucky Fried Movie as well?
Is it?
Yeah, where the woman is like, and your leg is also made out of aluminum.
Oh my God.
Right?
I forgot about that. Wow. So The Simpsons must have been a nod to that.
Yeah, it has to be. I mean,
come back, Zinc, come back.
The Simpsons takes it to the logical next step, which is trying to commit suicide and the gun not going off. But that I thought of the same thing. I love that he's like all in on zinc.
Oh yeah. How much can I buy for that? I was going to say they also had a stock joke in the previous episode when he's all dressed up in the homeless thing, and I can't remember if it's Dietrich that says something like, "I told you not to go all in on Chrysler."
Yeah.
Which was a nice little jab at where the auto industry was at the time. That was pre-K car, I believe.
Well, I also like that they also get Harris gets a jab on Richard Libertini during the zinc conversation. He's like, I almost forgot. You're crazy.
Right.
And it's like, at the end of the episode, though, Harris, you do end up buying zinc. So who's crazy? Who's really crazy?
I mean, yeah, he bought all that gold, or at least he thought he was buying all that gold. And it's like, oh yeah, here you go. And he hands him the one ingot, or like not even an ingot, just like a tiny little bar.
Yeah, that's
all
right.
That for this? Yeah. The guy who was selling his whole everything, liquidating everything, is the chagrin of his poor suffering wife.
I remember that one. That was a good one.
I was just going to say, it's a shame that Otto couldn't join us on this one, because I think he really wanted to talk about the role of Zitelli, because this is the first time we've seen Zitelli this season since he came out. I think it was in the first episode, I think.
Correct.
Yeah. So here he is back. And now we've got, Marty and Mr. Driscoll here, and really showing a whole rights issue of, keeping the son away from Mr. Driscoll. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's a big thing. And then, when he's getting berated by his wife about stuff, his ex-wife, I should say, that is when Zitelli is just like, well, I'm gay. And I think it feels like it should be a bigger moment, but it just kind of landed with a thud to me. How about for you?
And as someone who is gay, I was glad that this was addressed in a way that didn't feel like the way they addressed the rape episode.
Oh, like a big laugh?
Yeah, like, he's a fruit. Like,
right.
I'm glad they didn't do that. However, yeah, the way that he does it just, it is exactly what it needed to be for the time and nothing else. And I'm glad that it wasn't a joke, but it's not the moment that I think they thought it was. And like you said, I think they thought this was going to be some big moment. But here's the problem. Satelli has to come back more than twice a season for anybody to care. And you know what? He doesn't. I care more about the two other gay characters who I've seen a ton of times at this point.
Oh, yeah. You have a real relationship with these guys. Whereas Satelli, it's like I saw him more in previous seasons than I have in this season, where he now has a story to him.
Right. And actual motivations as a character. And it's like, oh, I'm gay. And it's like, okay, but what does you telling them mean?
Yeah, I was waiting for a speech. Like, okay, I'm gay, and like, now let's get a little bit more here, please.
Yeah. And he just turns around and goes, I'm gay, when this woman is berating, them, them and they being the gay, the gays in the gay community. And yeah, like, it's just, I don't know. That moment doesn't feel earned at all.
No, it doesn't. And I was really hoping that it would. I was like, oh, because you're setting us up, you're setting us up with bringing back these two characters that we haven't seen in a few seasons now, which is great. And I'm super excited to see them. And then you put them in this difficult situation. And, interesting that like Wojo has a pretty good conversation with Driscoll talking about stuff. And it's like, oh, okay, this is interesting. This is good. And it's like, you're getting to see how far Wojo has come over the years. He can actually have a conversation with a gay person and not be super weird about it. So yeah, I was like, okay, this is great. You're setting us up. You've got Satelli in here. Satelli, they're just like, hey, why don't you tell people? Got to get this out in the open. And then he comes out, but then there's no follow-up to it.
Yeah.
That was strange.
I wanted it to be better. I wanted it to matter. I wanted Levitt and his interaction to not be weird, but it is. And it's weird because Levitt is weirded out by the fact that he's gay.
Yeah.
And that feels like such a cheap joke even for this show.
Well, it's almost like Levitt is now taking up the mantle that Wojo is slowly leaving behind.
Right. That's what I mean. Like, it's just like, at this point, why is this show doing that joke? You've already shown that you can introduce us to a gay character in your show.
Right.
I don't know. That was probably the one issue I have with the handling of the storyline is you have to make us care about the character that's coming out.
Right.
Enough for that coming out to matter.
Right.
But
exactly.
But the A. Dietrich stuff is funny. And the other stuff with Mr. Driscoll is funny. And all of the kind of back and forth. And yeah, the conversation that Wojo has with him is great. But yeah, I mean, in terms of like actually having something to say about the topic, being gay in the early 80s, late 70s, like, yeah, you had to deal with people being assholes. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Duh. And you still do now. Like, and nothing has changed.
Right.
I mean, things have changed, but
well, and things are about to get so much worse for the gay community. I mean, we are, yeah, 1980 here. I mean, I'm sure some cases are starting to happen, but we're going to be in a real bad spot here over the next couple of years.
Yeah. And that's the other kind of hard thing to really wrap your head around is like the show. I appreciate that the show is trying to do this in a respectful way, but the shit is, like you said, about to hit the fan. And the gay community, I mean, if you know nothing about the 80s, awesome, but you should educate yourself if you don't, especially about gay rights and the treatment of the gay community, especially by people like Reagan. So,
exactly.
Refusing to acknowledge HIV by name is really cool. No, it's not. And yeah, it's kind of, it all feels of a piece of that. Like you want to have the conversation, but you don't want to actually have anything to say. You just want to sit and kind of signal. And that's kind of what it feels like. For once, I'm kind of disappointed with this show because it really feels like a mishandling of something that they really think that they handled well. That's why I'm disappointed. Not because they didn't do a good job, but they think they did a good job. And when you think you did a good job, you can't really be reasoned.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see where else they go with this. because of course I know that Driscoll and Marty come back, at least in the very last episode. I'm hoping that they come back more often, coming up here now that they're back from California, I guess, because that's where the last time we saw them, they were just about to move. And I hope we see more of Zitelli. I think you told me that we don't see that much of him over this season.
One more time entire show.
The entire show. So he doesn't come back in 7 and
the 9th episode of the 7th season, and that is it.
Oh, wow. So one in... I love the picture of Dino Natale, a.k.a. Zitelli, on his IMDb. I don't know how old he is in this picture, but he's an older gentleman. It looks like he's having a great time. He's got almost the same amount of hair as he has in this. And he hasn't acted on anything film or TV wise since 86, but I can't even, it doesn't look like he's the kind of guy that is going to quit. So I wonder if he does like theater or something.
Yeah. He's been in 5 episodes, and this is the 4th of 5 episodes. I know. It's weird. It's a very weird handling of the character for, I think, a show that, again, has done such a good job up until this point. Like, even with the first episode that they were talking about him being gay, Inquisition at the beginning of the season was Scanlan. That's a better episode in terms of having a conversation about gay characters on television and being gay in the world of the late 70s, early 80s.
Right. Yeah. So that's a little bit of a bummer, but at least we've got Libertini to keep us in stitches.
I think this is still a good episode. I think that this is one of the better episodes of the show, but I just don't think that it nails that moment the way that if it had nailed the moment the way it thought it did, I think we'd be talking about this as one of the best episodes of the show.
Yeah.
Because it's like I just want to remember it for the B plot, because the A plot, as good as it is in moments, it does have one moment where Dino Natale just it doesn't hit, but they think it does, and it's just. I don't know. Maybe it hit in 80. Maybe we're missing the context of time, but I just can't imagine. I don't know. I can't imagine what the response was, I guess.
Did you know
clutching?
Did you know that the guy that plays Marty he's done a ton of voice work, and he was at least 3 of the dwarves in the Rankin and Bass Hobbit.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like I almost want to go back and rewatch that now and be like, I hear his voice.
I really like those 2 characters a lot. I'm glad that they've shown up as many times as they have. I like that, Marty showed up first and then he got a pal to show up with.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're probably, for me, the best characters, the best like side characters on the show.
Yeah. Well, and because when they show up, it's not usually, if they're in trouble, it's for something dumb, like this,
Right.
I mean, he was kidnapping. He was in the wrong, but at the same time, his wife was in the wrong. And as we know, 2 wrongs don't make a right, but it really points out something. And for the most part, it's like they'll come in and like, oh, we need help, Barney, with this thing, or like, hey, we're moving to California. Just they're more, part of the group, which I really like.
But unfortunately, this is the last time we will be seeing them until the final episode of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, it's bizarre. I mean, again, like, we're taking this show and looking at it through the lens of like current television, where you would never have a character not show up for a season and a half like this. But yeah, this is the last time we see Jack DeLeon, and I'm assuming the last time we see Ray Stewart until the final episode of the show.
Yeah.
And that's totally the case. They don't show up again until Landmark Part 3. So,
wow.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it feels like this is the last episode they want to have this conversation. Mm-hmm. And this is the last time that they ever want to broach the gay topic. And look, this is halfway through season 6, so maybe they'll have more topical issues to talk about. But I'm pretty sure that the gay topic was pretty topical in 79, 80.
Definitely. Well, yeah, when we come back next time, we'll hear more about Dietrich. So maybe we'll hear some a little bit more background on him. But yeah, he's going to be arrested. Dietrich's arrest part 1 and 2. We'll also talk about Uniform Days, which I think is
That's the episode that I'm thinking of.
Pictures of all of them in uniforms. Okay.
That is the episode that I'm thinking of and that I was talking about earlier. Because now that you mentioned the uniform thing, it's like, oh yeah, that's the episode.
Yeah. And then guns. So nothing topical with guns, I'm sure. Because luckily we took care of that problem. We had that one mass shooting back in the 80s, and we've just outlawed all assault rifles and have really, clamped down on gun laws and just have made America very safe. So this will be interesting as an anachronistic type of thing.
Make America Safe Again did happen, and it worked.
Yeah. What a campaign that was.
Yeah, I remember it. I remember it like it was yesterday. I really am expecting them to hammer home the Dietrich is an alien thing and arrest, because he's at an anti-nuclear rally.
And he probably knows the dangers of nuclear power.
Yeah. Hey man, the day the earth stood still was all about like, don't destroy your environment and, don't destroy yourselves with weapons. If that's what if that's what I'm assuming they're going to draw from, which is my hope, then yeah, I mean, how could it not be that?
Well, and there's that whole weird thing too. He was protesting the Vietnam War, right?
Right.
So he definitely is a protester, which is great. But I want to say, like, he was super young when the Vietnam War, or would have been super young when the Vietnam War was going on. So it's like, I don't know. I could be totally wrong about that.
Dietrich is not an alien. The final shot of the show is him being beamed up. It's like, oh, that was really weird. Or the final shot. This is what I want the final shot of the episode to be. The final shot of the final episode is Dietrich waking up in a bed on a spaceship and going, I just had the craziest dream.
Wow.
Fuck everybody. Who cares anymore? Nobody would like this show if that was the ending of this show, by the way. No one would want to have anything to do with this show if he woke up on a spaceship at the end of the episode.
I mean, yeah. The only thing I can think of, and it's weird that we're talking about this, we still have a season and a half to go, but still, yeah, it's looming. I definitely just see everyone out of the precinct except for Barney, and he walks to the door, looks around one last time, puts the little check by his name that is going out of the office, turns off the lights, closes the door, and you just see the backwards writing of police station. That's the final shot.
Oh, gave me chills just thinking about it. I'm not even joking. I think when we get to, like, I didn't really have an emotional reaction with Kolchak at the end of that show, but this, I'm probably going to have an emotional reaction when we get to the end of this show, because this, right? I mean, this, I don't know, because, a little behind the scenes, we're starting a new show, you and I, at the start of 2024, and it's going to take us longer than this, but it's only an episode a month. And so if we had done an episode a month with this show, it would have taken us forever. So we wanted to do a show this long, and to do a show this long, we had to break it up into 3 episodes an episode. But like, I don't know, like, this is the first show I feel like we're watching the whole thing. Like, and yeah, Kolchak only lasted 1 season. So, that always feels a little bittersweet, because Kolchak is always kind of a big what if. But yeah, I don't know. Like, it feels like now we're in this weird spot where, like, part of the old time of the show seems to be ending, and the show seems to be transitioning into something else. So I'm excited to see where we go from here. But yeah, no more of some of the really reoccurring characters and actors that we've seen. So
yeah, it feels like season 7 will be different.
Yes.
I'm not sure how, but different.
Right. And I'm wondering if the end of this season will feel even more like a soft ending to the show.
Right.
So,
well, until we talk next month, Chris, what are you up to?
WeirdingWayMedia.com is what I'm up to, which is a place where you can hear all the things that I work on, which are weekly, monthly, and everything in between. Culture Cast, Scary Stories We Tell, Bollywood Cinema Club, Kolchak Tapes, Chronicles from the Crypt. The list could go on, and I could continue, but I won't. Just go look them up yourself at WeirdingWayMedia.com. What about you, Mike?
Almost the same, but just not as many shows, really. So just got the one that I work on all the time, the Projection Booth, and then some of these shows that I do with you and with Father Malone and you, and they're great. I'm looking forward. We are about to wrap up the Night Gallery, our midnight viewing podcast, and I'm going to go into some brave new worlds with that, which sound pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's a season of change here. Reading Way Media, we're working on new things, and old things that we've been working on are coming to a close. Yeah, it's I think we're ending 2 shows this year. So Rankin, which has been Rankin, which I think we started Rankin around the same time we started this, I feel like. Or no, I guess Rankin, because we had to have, we knew Richard for a while before we did Rankin. So
back in the Kolchak days, even though Kolchak was 1 season and 2 movies, we definitely stretched it out for a while.
This is Barney Miller has been definitely a joy to watch together. But I'm curious to see where this, like the 7th season. I'm so curious now because like I kind of want the season to be over so we can get to that 7th season because it does feel like there's going to be a weird seat change. So.
Mm-hmm. We will find out
when
we come back next month. Until then, please rate and review the show wherever you get it from, probably iTunes. And it would be nice. Give us 5 stars. Let other people know about the show. I don't think there's too many Barney Miller podcasts out there. I think we might be the only show in town. So hope you like it. That's all I got.
Cool.
Hello, filthy movie lovers. My name is Gentry Austin.
And I'm Casey Scott.
And we're the hosts of The Sin Syndicate, film podcast for something weirdos, anti-criterion bros, and Joseph Sarno aficionados. Join us semi-weekly as we peer into the adults-only theaters and sticky-floored cinemas of the golden age of sexploitation, when the morals were loose, the laws were murky, and the intercourse was all simulated. Find us now on the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.